Hey besties, welcome to SDT Time. I am your host, Athena, aka the SD Bestie. And this is a podcast where I share all of my tips and tricks and spill the tea on the beauty industry woes and foes and help you grow your business individually as a solo esthetician. Welcome to the SD Bestie Tea Time. I am here with Sasha. She's amazing. She has her own aesthetics, essentially education center, and you specialize in coaching and mentoring and lash extensions. And in Indiana, you are one of the only schools that can actually provide a license because you are accredited. Am I correct?
Yes, so we are recognized by the state. It's really exciting. The law changed here a couple years ago, and we are on a very short list of schools that are accepted.
That's amazing. How does that feel?
It feels like it was a long time coming because I wish that they had done this a while ago. But, our goal has always been to really set the standard. And we're definitely, being in Indianapolis in like the middle of the state, we have so many students come to us from all over.
Yeah.
We've always been highly sought after, but just now the fact that we have like that stamp of approval from the state, it's awesome.
It probably feels amazing, like so good, like nobody can touch you. You're like, no, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm providing for my students. I know that they can trust me. I'm not just like creating something and calling it like, oh, you can go do this service. You're actually providing like state regulated education and an actual accredited license. That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's a certification, not necessarily a license, but it holds legal value.
Yeah.
That's the most important part.
Okay. Yeah, talk about that a little bit because for me, for aesthetics, so in Florida, we have like the most minuscule level of requirement needed for our license. And in Florida, for lashes, we only need to hold an aesthetics license. Is it different in Indianapolis than, let's say, for Florida?
Yeah, so it's kind of like a hybrid. You can have an aesthetics or cosmetology license and legally do lashes, but like what's so messed up about that is you don't have to have formal training, and it's just like it is there, right? So then on the flip side, you have people like myself that went to aesthetics school solely to do lash extensions.
Yeah.
And of course, we didn't learn it in aesthetics school, right? So then we have this certification that's through our Department of Health, through the State Department of Health.
Okay.
And this certification lets you do lash extensions legally without having that beauty license.
Ooh.
So the thing about that is we have so many licensed professionals actually that still take this course.
Yeah.
Simply because, it's so robust. I wish it could be longer, to be quite honest, but they don't get that type of experience or education when they're taking these online or one day courses.
That's got to be like a love-hate too, because you have estheticians, like even myself, like I went to school thinking I was going to do lashes and brows, and I have literally never done lashes. I did like a couple sets practicing, and I was like, this is not for me, so bless your heart. And like I noticed in a couple of states, like in your state and in Texas, there's different certifications that they can get without going to aesthetic school. And I feel like that gives you so much more opportunity to, one, make revenue, but also two, not like inundate students with unnecessary information that they don't need in aesthetics for just doing lashes, vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's really cool about it too is we have a lot of students that come to us that they're thinking about getting into the beauty industry, but they don't know if they want to invest, 700 hours to go to aesthetics school here, or they don't have the time or money to go do 1,500 hours for cosmetology.
Yeah.
They get a little taste of it, they build their clientele,
Yeah.
and then they're able to decide if they want to end up going to beauty school and pursuing things further to expand their service menu.
Oh, that's amazing. It's almost like a gateway. I wish that there was an opportunity like that here. I wish that was something that we could do or implement or get qualified to do here. Because I feel like I said, like we don't end up specializing in anything. We don't end up learning. I can tell you like my my kit from school. I found it like a year ago. The lashes that were in the kit, you would literally, you would laugh. You would be like, what is this?
Oh my gosh, I'm sure they're probably like point 20s. They're probably like loose in a pot. It's probably devastating.
We didn't even know, I
I
didn't
can
even know
imagine.
what that meant, like at all. Like that, I didn't even know what that meant. No, we got like clusters. And like we
Oh
got like the
gosh, even
glue from
worse.
like the dollar store.
Love that. Love that
And
for you. Yeah.
we didn't put them on each other because we were like, I'm not putting that on my eyes. I don't know what's in there. We put them on mannequins. It was
Perfect.
one
And that's great
day.
practice. Yeah. And then just go turn you loose. No problem at all, right?
We didn't even have lashing tweezers. Like I don't even know like how we put these. I can't even remember. I think it was just like standard regular tweezers, like pulling out like, you know, ingrown hair tweezers, just flat plucking tweezers. It was insane. Insane.
That's what's wild. That's the reason though too why like so many students they'll go to aesthetic school,
Mhm.
they'll get like that little few hours of training, then they're like, oh, I know how to do lashes. Then they're out here, and that's why lash extensions get like a bad rep.
Yeah.
There's far more bad. I don't want to say bad. I would say undereducated lash
Yeah.
artists than there are properly
I
educated.
mean, I could say that about like skincare and things like that too, like for sure. Ooh.
Oh, 100%. All of it. And like that stuff you've touched on in other episodes too.
Mhm.
It's just, it's kind of the wild west out here. But going back to what you were saying about like being
Yeah.
hopeful to have that in Florida, I'm hopeful for that
Yeah.
because even just within the last year, I've seen other states start to adopt this, specialty license for lashes. Texas and Connecticut are a couple of states that have had it for a while, but I know Utah just adopted it, Arizona, Minnesota. So it's definitely spreading, but that's kind of the weird thing,
Yeah.
being in the States is you have to get, 50 different jurisdictions on board to do the same
Yeah,
thing.
isn't it wild? Like, I feel like, I don't know, I was talking about this with somebody else too about like having like Sedesco because like in the UK and like in Europe they have Sedesco. It's literally like 2 years. It's almost like community college, but like for all things skincare. I feel like yes, you can be qualified for Sedesco here, but is there a Sedesco program in the United States that is universal? I don't think so. I think you can apply to get approval and recognition from that, which would be great. However, there's nothing across the board, like across each state border, that is simultaneous, that is, you know, and I think that's why we have a hard time when we're in groups and we're talking to people. We're like, oh, that doesn't apply to me. And we're like, what? What do you mean? Well, the
Mhm.
laws are different. So we need to know 50 laws, 50 different places for all of these laws for a single license. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's craziness. And that was something that I found all the time, as I do business coaching too for, beauty business service providers. And they're telling me, hey, this, that, and the other, what's your advice on that? And I'm like, well, let me look into that
Yeah.
because 50 different rules. It's craziness. And there's so much along with that though, too, misinformation that's spread
Yeah.
because
Like
it's not
wildfire.
universal across the
Wildfire.
board. Yeah. And you know how that is in our industry. So
Yeah, I do. I do know how that is kind of crazy. And I mean, that's another thing too. I mean, I have really personally, I feel like I have really been like reignited in my passion for like justice because it's just so, I've been on the back end of so many things that are such BS that I'm like, oh, heck no. I am so done. If you're coming for me, I'm coming for you, and I am going to give you the handbook. And like, that is it. And I feel so bad for newbies that don't know the options. Like, they don't know that they can come to you and try out lashes. They don't know that that's an option a lot of the time. Or they don't know that they're not learning what they're supposed to be learning when they sign up for school. So it's like there needs to be like some sort of communication there where there's like, the best for the actual student to provide for the clients that we're going to be touching.
yeah, absolutely. And you don't know what you don't know. And I really wish that schools would bring in more of us that are actually working in the
Yeah.
industry to talk to the students.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's something that I've done and I'm passionate about doing, but there's not enough of it. There should be requirements for in-person apprenticeship, shadowing,
Yeah.
all of those things, as well as I really wish that like aspiring estheticians, aspiring anyone in the beauty industry knew that like we don't bite. We love giving out
Yeah.
advice and information. And there's so much because like I don't know about you. Like I'm feeling old. We're not old, but there's this whole like next
Yeah.
generation coming up
Yeah.
out of beauty school. We're like veterans now. It's crazy. And we had to figure so much out on our own.
So
So
much. We're
much.
doing the millennial
And I'm
complaining here. We're like, we literally had to go through COVID.
I swear though. But we are so happy just to share our knowledge so
Yeah.
they don't have to go through like the same stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what I always tell. Like I have students that I'm huge on I will not just sign anyone
Yeah.
up for our programs.
Right.
It has to be right for them. So there's sometimes where I'll point them in another direction. But even if they don't take our courses, I let them know I'm like, hey, reach out to me if you have any questions or you're not sure what direction to go. I am a complete open book because I would rather them not waste that time or
Yeah.
waste their money. It's all about just bringing the industry up. And yeah, there's the cattiness in the industry. There's still some gatekeeping, but I think overall, like 6, 7, 8 years
Yeah.
ago, it was all gate
It
kept,
was
right?
all gate kept, which is why I think we're seeing such a big influx of like courses, like, and I call it courses rampant because we're seeing such an influx of people being like, well, you're not going to tell me how to do it, and I'm not going to be able to learn how to do it the right way. So, like, I might as well make something up that works for me. And I think that's the mentality that
Yeah,
we're in. And it's not a bad thing, but it's also not like, it's not regulated.
yeah, and that goes back to the whole not regulated thing.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the whole it's all the Wild West out
Yeah.
here, and then it's like, oh well, this trainer said this, and this other person said this, so which one's right or wrong? I tell my students all the time.
Yeah.
I said I don't claim to know
Yeah.
everything. I'm teaching you, what works for me. However, there's no rules. My biggest rule is, well, there are rules. My only number one rule is as long as you're not hurting the client.
Yeah.
Like that's what it comes down
Safety
to.
first,
I say,
always.
yeah, like you are a lash
Yeah.
artist. That means that you might do something completely different
Yeah.
than, the other artist. It's artistry. But safety first, and as long as you are not harming your client or practicing negligently,
Yeah.
there's so many different paths to get to that end result. And there's no single educator or influencer within our industry that's like the know all be all
Yeah.
by any means.
I mean, I've taken multiple courses from multiple trainers over the last 5 years. More than that. I mean, you learn different styles and techniques. Some people, they just prefer different techniques. Even in business, like having different mentors and having different people to look at and ask questions and like see how things are working for them or being intrigued by like what and how they're doing things is okay. Like always reach out and ask me like, hey, I like what you're doing here. Like, where did you learn that? Maybe they have a course or someone that you can mentor with, like you.
Oh, what do you know? Yeah, absolutely. And that's just the thing, though, too, is, you know, everyone, although we all do have our own different ways of doing
Yeah.
things, I think when you're looking for a coach or you're looking for an educator or even a mentor,
Yeah.
finding someone that is humble enough to say, I don't know it all.
Yeah.
I am open to learning new things because I'm sure, just like me, like I'm sure you have had beliefs within this industry that maybe you had a few years ago completely flipped upside down on its head.
Absolutely.
And that's just to having an open mind,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. That's one of the biggest things, too. I feel like people are so, I don't want to say close minded, but I feel like they're not given the opportunity to be open minded when they start on a path of like just focusing on the end goal and not appreciating the growth that it takes to get there. And I feel like that's the I want it now, I want it here, I want the money, 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 everything right now, when like sometimes that's not the best way. Like slow growth, I would rather grow slow and learn everything inside out with people that are ethical and have integrity rather than just skipping the line and trying to make it fast. And I think
It's not sustainable. It's not.
exactly, that's exactly where I was going with that. Like you may have success in the front end, but you are going to miss out on all of the education and the true path that you should be on in the long run.
Oh, absolutely. I've had so many students that they have what appears to be a banging business from the outside.
Right?
They do the trainings, they've got the team, they, all the things. And when I get into their business and start to audit it, I'm like, holy shit. Can I even say that on here? I'll bleep it out, I guess. I'm like, you know what?
Fuck it.
Fuck it. Perfect. That's my favorite word. Great. Glad we're here. All right. So I'm like, you know what? You built this thing
Yeah.
on like no foundation.
Yeah.
No foundation. And now you're watching it start to
It
crumble.
does.
You're coming to me because you're in a complete tailspin. You're panicking.
Yeah.
You built this monster. And a lot of the time it does require pulling things back, and they'll see revenue decrease because we take time to have to go back and build it
Yeah.
right. And then we build it back up and it's better than before, right? But if you just do it right the first time, you're going to avoid that.
Yeah.
And you're going to be able to have longevity. And I think the other thing too within our industry, we have people that really bring it to light, like yourself, and we just have, I don't know, I don't like saying like woke, but that's
Yeah.
really what it is. We have this whole generation
Yeah.
of beautypreneurs that are just more woke now, and we're not putting up with the BS. We want ethics.
Yeah.
We want things done properly.
Yeah.
Right? We're not taking everything that we're being spoon fed anymore just for what it is, what we're told it is. We're willing to question.
Yeah.
And we are also willing to raise our voices to make change happen and to bring awareness. And that's something that I love so much about what you use your platform for,
Yeah.
is, to bring awareness to the entire industry and to call people out, because a lot of the crap that you call out, it's not right. And unless someone calls them out, it'll just keep spreading
You keep
like
spreading.
wildfire with the
Yeah.
rest of it.
I think it's funny too. Like it's not like ever my intention to just like go and call somebody out. Like I keep quiet. I stay in my damn lane until somebody cuts me off and tries to like literally derail my car from my lane. I have
Oh yeah.
never, I think I said this in the last episode, but like I have never gone out of my way to talk bad, to make sure that I am slandering or saying anything that is untrue. Like if I'm speaking about something, I promise you, one, I have the receipts. Two, I'm not afraid to share them. And three, they came at me sideways one way first or another.
Oh, 100%. And at that point, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's no,
Game
the
on.
truth always comes. The truth always comes to
It
light.
always does. But it may not come out. It may not come out like right now. It may come out 5, 6, 7 months later, maybe even a year later, but it always comes out.
Whether you're the one that brings it to light, it's going to come out regardless.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately and fortunately, I am not the one.
I wouldn't want to be on your bad side.
It's not even like a bad side. Like I have no malice towards these people. I'm just like, I don't want anything to do with you. I want you away from me, and I hope that I can do something to make sure you never do this to somebody else. That's like where it comes from for me.
Yeah, it's about not only having that personal boundary,
Mm-hmm.
but standing up for just what's right.
Yeah.
And that literally brings it full circle, though, to what we just talked about, is when you operate in business that way, that's how you have longevity.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another point that you made, was like, start from the beginning. Ask those hard questions. Ask people like yourself, if you are a newbie artist, if you are thinking about getting into the business industry, the beauty industry and business industry, because it is, we're in a business industry. Our end goal is not to sit here and do, beauty services for the rest of our lives. Our goal is to build something up so that we can be managing people to do services, and we can keep creating bigger business outside of just our studio, at least in my eyes. So to reach out to people, what is a good quality that you would suggest? Like, what are things that you would suggest somebody to ask a mentor, a business coach? What are good questions they can ask to know if they're getting somebody who's real? And what should the response be from a business owner or a mentor?
Wow, that's a really great question. So, wow, what a great question. I would say, if they are not willing to share their truth, or if there's any dancing around any topics, or just first of all, like listen to your gut, right?
Yeah.
You can always tell if something's a little bit off.
Yeah.
But I really feel like I got asked a great question of over the weekend. We're in session right now for a course, and one of the girls asked me, she said, "What do you wish that you knew when you were first starting?" And it's such a simple question,
Yeah.
but what that did was it provoked such a larger conversation,
Yeah.
right? And I always tell them though too, in the beginning, I think that a lot of beauty business, aspiring entrepreneurs, they really want what you were just talking about
Yeah.
is all of the things. Run the team, have the other sources of revenue, this, that, and the
Yeah.
other. And that is, you and I do share a lot of, the same goals, and we've achieved so much that we set out to do. But also, you don't necessarily have to have those things be your goals. Some
Yeah.
people really enjoy working for someone. Some people really enjoy just having their suite and calling it a day. But when you're reaching out to mentors and you're reaching out to educators, go with someone that they've already done it. They have what you want. Don't listen to someone that doesn't have what you want or hasn't experienced it.
Yeah.
They could lie and BS you, but if you listen to someone that's been there before, they're probably going to save you like 10 steps along the way, right?
10 steps, $10,000, maybe more.
At minimum, at minimum,
Minimum.
literally at minimum.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love that. I love that response. I think I think that's one of the hardest things, like you said, and I have very, very much felt this in the last couple of years. You don't know what you don't know. And like
Oh,
at
facts.
every
Yeah.
point in business, I feel like in every point that I have been on my business journey, I have felt like, okay, I know I can always learn more, but I feel like what I'm doing is right. And then I'm hit with like a side trade or a freight trade. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Now I have to go educate myself on what that is and see how I can make changes over here in my business to make sure that that doesn't happen again, or that I can skip over that and get to the next level.
Yeah, it's a constant pivot. And I had someone that she said, my goal is I want to be like you. I just don't think that I could handle it. And when you are running a team and the courses and kiddos and all of the things, yeah, it takes a lot mentally. It takes a lot from you emotionally,
Mhm.
right? And that's the other thing I tell people. I say, you can have all of these goals. I think they are great aspirations, but also you have to understand what it takes
Yeah.
physically, mentally, emotionally, because you can have the best mentors, you can have the best
Yeah.
educators, you can do all of the things, but if you don't have what it takes, because it's going to keep trying to knock you down,
It is.
knock
It's
you
like a
down.
constant punching bag, it feels like sometimes. And like at the end of the day, it's like you have to start to love those punches or you're not going to make it.
I think I do love them. It's like getting a tattoo. It's like a good pain,
Yes.
because if there's like not a fire to put out,
Yeah.
I'm like, this is too calm. This is kind of boring.
Right. We
As
thrive in
twisted as that
chaos.
sounds. Literally though, and that's why I always have to have different projects going
Yeah.
on. And if I don't have a little bit of chaos,
Something ain't right.
I'm probably seeking it, but it's a good chaos, right?
Yeah.
And what comes with the chaos though is a learning experience. And I think that's why we seek it, is because we know that there's growth on the other side,
Yeah.
right? And so whenever anyone in our industry or any industry period is going through something in business, just know that on that other side, there's so much growth, and that you get to look back and either next time that you're hit
Yeah.
and that you're that punching bag, that you get to, pivot and make a different decision, or that you're able to use that knowledge and that experience to help someone else.
Yeah.
Um, it's, yeah, it's literally a punching bag. You nailed that.
It makes it worth it because it's like, and I feel like that's a certain personality type too, about like I would rather it be me than anybody else. And I've always been like that. Like I would rather it be me than somebody who is going to lay down and take it
Mm-hmm.
rather than stand up and fight against it. Because for me, I don't know if this is just like a twisted mentality that I have, but like there is nothing that is going to derail me completely. And like I know that if I'm going through something, if something is coming my way, there is a reason for it. And whatever is coming out on the other side, maybe this is the Delulu in me, it has to be good. It has to be good. The harder the hit, the bigger the reward.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it really is, as cliche as it is to say this, a
Yeah.
journey, because there's no end game to it. So what? You win the game of business? No, there's
But
absolutely
what's
no win. So
winning?
you might as well.
What's winning?
Exactly. I mean,
Status, you're up on stages, you're invited to events. Woohoo. Like we've done all that.
I don't.
We've spoken on stages.
I
It was that was the end game at one point for me. Now that I've reached it, I'm like, that's not the end game. What's next? Like what is next?
Yeah, I'm good off of that. I'd rather be taking a nap. I,
Schedule nap.
it's really, everyone has, their own parts of the game that they love, and I've really enjoyed, every hit, every growth that comes from it, but mostly just being able to take those and pour them into other people so that they understand, what we went through, so they don't have to go through it. But then they might realize that their goals, look different,
Mhm.
and that what we do is we get to, okay, you get on the stage or you hit that dollar mark in business, that revenue, whatever you were looking for. Now what? Now
Exactly.
what? Now, I'm like, as long as everyone's healthy and happy and I'm still out here helping people, I'm good. But it really truly turns into a game.
Yeah.
And Alex Hormozy says it best. Business is the
Yeah.
game. And it is a video game that I just keep adding zeros to it. And it's so fun to
Rosebud,
play
rosebud.
because
Exclamation colons, exclamation semicolon.
I knew we were going to get along. I love the fact that you said that.
Paid Sims.
Cheat codes for life. But
It was endless
there's
money. I'm
no,
like, where's my cheat code for this? See, you
that's
know
what I'm
what? I
saying
think
though.
that's
There's no,
why I'm motivated. I'm like, there's gotta be not a cheat code, but like there's gotta be a way to have like infinite happiness. Relating that to Sims, like it's Rosebud, semicolon, colon, whatever the heck it was.
it's,
Exclamation
it's the
point.
millennial. It's the millennial in us that we just think that this is The Sims.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, it's just the fact that cheat codes. That's so funny. It's just the fact that so many people think that there is an end to the game, and then they're grasping at nothingness,
Yeah,
and they really are looking for that rosebud cheat
yeah,
code.
exactly. Exactly. Sasha, tell everyone where they can find you, where they can ask you business questions if they're in Indianapolis, where they can sign up for your course, and where they can find you on the gram or socials.
Absolutely. So it's Sasha Haughn, and you're gonna have show notes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yep. So at Sasha Haughn on Instagram, and everything on there to be able to connect with me for any coaching, consulting. My course links are on there. I'll have online courses in the very near future.
Whoop,
We
whoop.
are doing a large pivot right now. I've been a little busy with the in person, so looking forward to that. But everything pretty much just at Sasha Hahn.
Yeah, we'll have to bring you back for that story later. We'll have to spill the tea on that later. Once we're
Yes,
through it.
you've had. Yes, you've gotten to listen to some of the behind the scenes of
Mhm.
that, and so I think that's going to be a good episode
Agreed.
once we can
Agreed.
spill the tea.
Thank you so much for joining me. I hope all the tea we've spilled and perspectives that you've given, Sasha, and that I always put my 2 cents in, allows somebody to find the path that they're supposed to be on, whether that be with you or taking a lash course or finding a good mentor, creating a group, something like that that helps them just do better and be better in the aesthetics industry. So until next time, we'll see you later.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.